Morning, everyone. Welcome to the May 27th meeting of Henderson County Fiscal Court. We are glad you are with us. And for those watching online, we're glad you are with us as well. We will begin, as we always do, with an invocation. If you would please stand with me. Dear Lord, please watch over this body as we try to make good decisions for our community. Please watch over Henderson County as we continue to deal with the aftermath of the flood and other concerns in our community. Please watch over our men and women in uniform. Please watch over those we memorialized yesterday. And please pray your blessings on Henderson County. We say these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Magistrate Starks.
Here.
Magistrate Berry.
Here.
Magistrate Southard.
Here.
Magistrate Tompkins is absent. Magistrate Putman.
Here.
Gentlemen, you have before you the minutes of the May 13th regular fiscal court meeting and May 22nd special called meeting. After a period of review, I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any other corrections, clarifications, or additions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, busy agenda today, and we'll begin with Tourist Commission Executive Director Abby Dixon, who's here to brief us on an opportunity.
Yes. Thank you all for having me today. Like Judge said, I'm Abby Dixon. I'm the Executive Director of the Henderson Tourist Commission. And you know, sometimes it feels like it takes forever for things to happen, and sometimes it feels like things move really quickly. And this is something that is moving really quickly, and I want to make sure that if it's an opportunity that we choose to take advantage of, that we do so. So bringing the big screen to Henderson. This morning we're going to talk a little bit about the film industry and how it's changing in Kentucky. So you all might recall this past legislative session, the Kentucky Film Office was established with reinstated and expanded film incentives for filming in Kentucky. So when we think about the film industry, we think about California and we think about Georgia. California is pretty obvious. With Georgia, you know, they made a decision as a state that we want to attract more filming to the state and put incentives in place to do so. Now, you know, when we're looking across our nation, it's California and it's Georgia. Well, why not us, right? We have all four seasons, we have big cities, we have rural communities, we have tons of waterways. We have everything that it takes to attract filming to our state, and now the legislature has put great incentives and a film office in place so that we can be intentional about that. So a little bit of an overview about what these incentives look like. For a project, any given project could be eligible for up to $10 million in tax credits. The legislature has put $75 million in the budget available for approved projects. So there would be an application process. They would go through the Kentucky Film Office, and we'd have a really good idea of what the economic impact to our state and our communities would be before those projects were approved. So things are moving right on schedule. This Kentucky Film Office is scheduled to be fully operational starting July 1st. So things are moving really quickly. When we look at some of the communities in Kentucky that have already had filming in their area, so you all might remember, I think it was this past winter, Madisonville had filming in their downtown. Owensboro had a Hallmark movie. I was very jealous. So they had that going on. Glasgow has attracted lots of film. So what we're seeing is $7 for every $1 spent in incentives is coming back to our communities, which is obviously a really big deal for a place like Henderson. And, you know, when we look at what this industry is doing, you know, we're not just going to the movie theaters a few times a year to catch the big films for that year. Every time you turn on Prime or Netflix or Hulu or whatever your streaming services are, these folks are pumping out new shows and movies left and right, even YouTubers that are coming into communities to film. So it's an exciting opportunity. I think the way we're consuming entertainment is changing, and I'm excited to take advantage of it. Okay, so what we've been talking about, you know, in our region of the state is we're excited for the Kentucky Film Office to administer these incentives. But I don't think it stops there to attract filming to a place like Henderson. I think we need to be really intentional about selling ourselves and going out and making connections with these folks in California who are making the decisions. So a West Kentucky Film Commission is being established. It's its own entity with its own, you know, EIN number. It's a consortium of communities in Kentucky with one goal, Western Kentucky, with one goal in mind, and that is to attract film to our region. So something that's interesting to think about, when you're talking to folks in California, I don't know how many of you all have traveled on those LA highways, but it takes a long time to get from place to place that, you know, could be just a couple miles apart. Well, when they're hearing that they could come from Henderson because we have the perfect pumpkin patch for a scene that they have, to Paducah because they have the perfect downtown hotel, and it's an hour and 45 minutes, that's really appealing, the ease of traveling throughout our communities. So we could have a movie that comes to Western Kentucky and hits multiple counties, you know, in the span of a couple weeks. So you know, I think that partnership is really important because we have more that we can sell whenever we're working together. So what this commission is doing, we are entering in, or they, hopefully we, are entering into a contract with Goldenrod Film. So Goldenrod Film is led by Christy Kilday, who is a producer out of LA, who has actually moved to Louisville because she sees such an opportunity here in Kentucky, and Jeremy Winton, who is a Western Kentuckian. So they're based out of Louisville. They are seasoned pros. They've been involved in the filming in Madisonville, in Owensboro. They were heavily involved in the opening of the Kentucky Soundstage in Owensboro, which makes post-production really easy to stay in this region and be able to complete the project. And they have the connections that it'll take to really sell the region. So it's still important, they really stress this, it's still important that we have locals, you know, we know our community. So there would be a board of directors established, so each community would have their tourism director represented on that board of directors so that we can help guide Goldenrod Film, but they would be out there, boots on the ground in LA doing the work for us. And they're actually planning on hiring a full-time staff that would be dedicated specifically to promoting Western Kentucky as a filming location to those folks in California. Commitments so far include Hopkins County, McCracken County, Davis County, Muhlenberg, Warren, Simpson, and Christian. So proposed investment. The first year membership into the West Kentucky Film Commission is $10,000. That's expected to go down in year 2. Just getting things up off the ground with a website, branding, etc., will cost a little bit more for that first year investment. I would serve on the board of directors with my colleagues that are also involved in this project to be making sure that that staff person is doing what they're supposed to be doing and that they are bringing film back to our region. So here's what we're proposing today, and I'll be at City Commission later this afternoon too. If we could split that $10,000 membership 3 ways, that would be a very symmetrical $3,333.33 for the 3 of us to all go in together to hopefully, you know, garner some significant economic impact for our area through this industry. Return on investment. So why should we spend the money to do this? So when you think about what the film industry does when a movie comes to town, we're seeing direct spending from production costs. So that's lodging, food, any rentals they have. Boost to the local economy, jobs. So items that are eligible for that incentive, the $10 million that they can get back from the state, it's everything from we need to hire a local electrician to help us work on this set, or a local carpenter to build a set, to, oh man, we need fresh flowers for this table in this scene, so we're going to go to Geppetto's and get a flower arrangement. So whether it's through local workforce or local products that they're buying, all of those expenses are eligible. Something that, I have 2 kiddos, and I'm really excited to see our community evolve, to hopefully have more opportunities for them as they get older. Love to keep them at home forever. I love the thought that our kids who dream of a career in this field will see that there's opportunity not just in Kentucky, but in Henderson. You don't have to go to California or Georgia to get a job in this field. And we have a fantastic program at the high school that focuses on this. Long-term branding as a creative, film-friendly community. I mean, my gosh, how proud are we? We still talk about a league of their own, right? So to attract more experiences for our locals to get involved in that, I think is really special. And then, of course, having a seat at the table. You saw the list of counties that are already committed. I don't want to be left off of that list. I do get a little competitive sometimes. So I will say the governor is going to be in Madisonville tomorrow to announce this initiative. Obviously, this is really quick turnaround, but I would love to be able to say, yes, Henderson is in, and we're committed to attracting film and economic activity to our community. So with that, I guess the formal ask is, would you all be willing to go in a third of that $10,000 membership?
Any questions?
Is that annual? Is the cost?
Yes, it's annual. The board
How
of
many years are you looking at the commitment?
So I've thought about this. I think whenever you're exploring a new opportunity like this, in my mind, you've got to give it at least 3 years to see, the fruits of your labor. It is. I mean, of course, year 2's membership is not set in stone, but it sounds like the board of directors will probably decide that that second year membership does not need to be as high. Just the cost to get things up and going.
Thank you.
So,
They could, yes, they could.
so the board's made up of people from all the counties, or we're going to have a board for Henderson County?
No, there wouldn't be a board for Henderson. It would be a representative. The tourism director from each county would sit on the board. And what Jeremy and Christy really reiterated, because I'll tell you, initially Hopkins County was looking at doing this on their own. And Jeremy and Christy from Goldenrod Film reiterated, that's fine if you want to do that, but really this needs to be a regional approach to see the most benefit.
Right.
And I appreciate that. We all work really well together. It's good to get a little competitive, but it's also good to have a strong consortium of folks working towards the same goal.
Well, especially for, $3,300, I don't think it's a big deal. It would be interesting to see where this goes. And we have had a couple films shot here in the last 3 years, if you recall. One about Halloween and another about Mother's Day that were straight to streaming, straight to Amazon, but have garnered a lot of views. And so it's just another. And then, shot in Henderson, Kentucky is in the credits at the end. So there is an opportunity here, I think. So can we, you think we can get this done? You're gonna propose to the city tonight.
Yes.
Do you get a feel for their feeling about it?
I think they are equally excited about the opportunity as I am.
We'd like to get this done as soon as possible in this fiscal year, before the end of June. I'm sure that's okay too, pending the review of the contract by our council. And I think everybody seems to be positive about at least giving it a go here and see how the first year sets up structurally. If more counties come to the commission, I think that'll probably defer costs even more, I would guess, because we're just talking about funding boots on the ground selling.
Right.
That's what it's all about. So, any other discussion?
Well, as you mentioned, I think there's still people that are coming into Henderson just to go see the League of Their Own House here in downtown Henderson. So it does have that tourism attraction, once something has happened. I was even talking to some folks at our last Arts Alliance performance, the singers, and always Patsy Cline, were not really familiar with Henderson or Evansville. I said, well, we're going to probably go right by the house that League of Their Own was filmed at. And she got all excited. So I think, that kind of opportunity, and again, it does shine a spotlight on our community. That's never a bad thing. And the distribution goes everywhere. So I think for a small amount like that could lead to some big returns.
I think so
Here's a
too.
question to the court. If the city, for whatever reason, does not approve, which might happen, you never know, I would still like to move forward. And maybe, what would you think about, in that case, us picking up 2/3 and the Tourist Commission picking up 1/3? I don't know how much discretionary funds you have to do things like this, but if that were to occur, what do you think about us picking up 2/3, just to keep it going?
I think they'll probably do it, but I'd say, okay, if they don't, I'd be okay with it.
If they don't, well,
Yeah,
what do you
I'm
think?
good with that.
Abby's
I can live with that.
Obviously, she's a good sales lady.
Yeah,
You're really good at it.
I would just,
Obviously, you wouldn't be here.
sometimes something translates differently to a group than another, and I'd hate to have this, just languish, just in case.
I feel like our legislators gave us this tool to add to our toolkit as a way to grow our community. And if we're not intentional about putting it in our toolkit and using it, then, we're not really giving it a fair shot. So I'm excited about it.
Judge, are we looking at a sunset clause in case it doesn't work out?
Well, why don't we make this a one-year commitment and then,
Okay.
come back and at some point give us a report on how it's going, and we'll make a decision again next year. So why don't we just go ahead, if you don't mind, taking a vote on the third, offering a third of the total cost. And if, again, for some reason, the city doesn't approve, maybe you can come back at the next fiscal court meeting and we'll talk about it some more. But it sounds like the majority of the court would be willing to go 2/3 if it required that, so. But anyway, can I get a motion to pay?
I just want to clarify, Abby, so this essentially, this Goldenrod Film Productions, they market to film companies? Is that, we're hiring a marketing firm, or is this just for them to do their particular productions here?
No,
in the area?
it's not for their particular productions here. They would be boots on the ground in LA at these essentially trade shows.
So
They're
we're hiring them to do marketing for
Yes,
us, for the
yes,
area? Okay,
yes.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
Yep,
And that's what this money's for, basically,
yes,
to get them funded to do our marketing.
yes,
Probably also some consulting in case we do
yes.
get an opportunity.
I mean, I would love to be the boots on the ground girl, but I don't really know a lot about this. So I'm excited to work with the pros.
And you don't want to be driving the freeways in LA.
No.
It'd be risky
So-
for everyone.
Have you approached economic development about this? Because there seems to be it's as much economic development as it is tourism.
Yeah, after this pass-through session this year, Missy and I had a long conversation about what the opportunities are and how we could work together. Specifically, that was before this became a discussion. But, we talked about if I'm out there kind of doing my tourism thing, which is, I'll say, it's out of my comfort zone because I'm used to selling like all of the wonderful things to experience and do, and sometimes they're looking for, an abandoned warehouse that we're not going to put on HendersonKY.org. So we talked about, if I can do that pitching part, and if Missy's office is looking for opportunities for infrastructure, the Kentucky Soundstage opening in Owensboro was a really big deal. So what else could we attract that would provide jobs, but also make this area more appealing for filmmakers? So it's something that she's excited about too.
So does anybody have a motion to go ahead and approve $3,333?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Are we going to add,
Yeah,
What about the,
in the event the city doesn't come on board, that we were going to, do you want to include that? in this
With the
motion?
understanding that we'd be willing to go the extra.
Somebody can make that motion?
hold on a second. Also needs to be put in that motion as long as Steve Gold approves.
If
Oh,
it
yeah.
meets, legal muster.
Bylaws, there's some sort of bylaws for this group or something, or affiliation agreement or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to look at.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
Yeah.
thank you, I feel better.
Well, any contract, we would have to run through court again.
Judge, could you restate that motion?
I didn't make the motion, so
Yeah, I move to approve the $3,333.33, unless the city does not follow through on their side, and then we would be willing to go to
Double.
double that.
6,000.
Yeah, for the first year, and as long as it does meet all the requirements as far as legal muster, then that's my motion to approve
Second.
this.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion about that? Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oh, I forgot to put in there, I do have to have a role in the first movie.
You got it. You got it. You know what? I will tell you all. So I don't know if any of you all were downtown last night, but Kentucky Tourism was shooting scenes for just a commercial for Kentucky Tourism at Cap and Cork. And the excitement that was there, we had actors in town because they did like a casting call for this. We had actors in town from Atlanta, Greenville, South Carolina, Birmingham, all around, honestly, the Southeast. There were probably 40 actors there. We had to fill that space. The crew, there were like 30 people in the crew. The sidewalk was lined with equipment, nicer equipment than Henderson Tourist Commission can afford. So that was really cool to get to be a part of a production like that. And just to be there for 2 hours, Cap and Cork saw great business, through hosting them. And people were, slowing down to see what was going on. I think, outside of the economic impact, it really does make our community feel good. And, that's what it's all about. So
Sad they had to get out-of-state actors when they had Bethesda.
I know.
You'd think Kentucky Tourism could
Someone
get
Have your
said-
people call my people,
And
Hey.
if they had bourbon, I bet more than
Oh, yeah.
$333.33 was spent at Captain.
So the extras that I brought, the free labor, they were a little disappointed to see that the bourbon was actually just tea. It was a lot of fun.
That's too bad.
Thank you all so
Thank
much.
you. See ya. Next, I'll call up Eric Higgs, recycling supervisor, who's got a couple, hopefully good news on grant agreements.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We'll start with this year's Household Hazardous Waste Day grant. We had actually applied for $24,550. The state only approved us for $23,800, which they did which is a total of $750 difference. Well, the $750 was going to be used for the advertising part of it, so that will actually have to come out of our own budget because you have to advertise these days. I know the last couple of years we've had to send back a substantial amount of money back to the state. The thing about the hazardous waste is you just don't know until the day of when people bring stuff in.
Right.
Now, I can increase the advertising, which is going to cost a little bit more money in hopes that we use up all of the funding, but then you take a risk on going over the funding, then you're paying out of pocket for whatever you go over. So,
I think we'll trust your best judgment on this.
yes.
Yeah.
And then also the 25-26 waste tire grant. This is the waste tire grant we get every year, $4,000. This year, in particular, we had the 3-day tire event back in June, which they hauled off over 10,000 tires. Had we not had that 3-day tire event, we'd probably been looking at paying quite a bit out of pocket. I just did the closeout figures for this year's grant, and even with the 4,000 grant and the 3-day tire deal, we still ended up paying $1,750 out of pocket. This upcoming fiscal year, I anticipate us paying anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 more out of pocket for waste tires.
But at least, every tire we spend that money on is not a tire dumped somewhere with a bunch of other friends.
Yes, sir.
And that ends up being even more manpower, even more time, and plus it's a blight. So I think it's money well spent. I do have to sign both of these grant agreements. So I'll need a motion to move forward with that.
So moved.
Motion is second on going forward with these grant agreements. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Now, I will say I have not heard a word yet back from the state on the big grant, the Kentucky Pride Grant. I should hear something maybe later this week. hopefully we'll get that, but we may not. But I should hear something this week on that.
Fingers crossed. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Let's see. Nick, I'm going to call you to podium if you don't mind. We're going to open some bids up on Sulphur Springs Road widening. Now, I know members of your family are here, and always glad to see them. And one of the great things about opening bids with Nick is he used to bring a very large knife with him as a letter opener, and we called it his letter machete. I don't know if it's with us today, but it was impressive to watch at one time.
It is.
There you go.
You found it.
It is. All right. First bid I get is for Scotty's.
And this is the widening of Sulphur Springs Road in support of the opening of the Henderson mine there as a safety measure.
Yes, and this is also for the repairs and correct the intersection with Wheeler Road and Sulphur Springs.
Which is also right there, yeah.
Yes, yes. All right, their price,
On Eric's street, yeah, because they're two separate.
they had $263,806, and that is to complete everything from the widening to correct Sulphur Springs at Wheeler Road. They gave a breakdown in the cost of materials. Yep. So I'll, and that's our only bid. So I'll go back and look over this, make sure there's not anything that's outlandish, and I'll come back up for a recommendation.
Okay.
Do you think the time constraints is the reason why that's the only bid?
No, it's just, it's kind of the position that Henderson is and asphalt. You know, there's nothing real close to, I mean, there's not any plants that are really close. So they've got, everybody's got long hauling, you know, to get here. Everybody's, 30 minutes to an hour, hour and a half away. Also, the type of work this is for widening, I think it's just the way it's done, the production. Asphalt companies get paid off by the yard, by the tonnage that goes down. So they show up and they pave all day long. There's a lot more production, a lot more there, a lot less that they're out. Now with this work being widening, they got to come in to get a dirt crew in to widen it. Then they got to lay the rock. Then got the asphalt. The asphalt's going down in 3 lifts because it's 11 inches deep. It's just terrible to put all that down as one lift because if you're sit on it, it will happen. So this is all to go down as 3 lifts. So it's just the production rate just isn't there.
Okay.
And then that's just kind of how it is. Now we do have a 2-inch surface going on top of everything when they're done, so there'll be a new surface, which doesn't run to very much on the materials. But the biggest thing is just the labor to get it all done. So.
Thank you, Mick.
Yep.
You also want to buy a truck?
Yes, I came to court, it's been about 3 months ago, for a truck. I was going to try to get it built, and they said should be built by May, so that way it falls into this fiscal year for this budget. I talked with him about 2 weeks ago, and he said they're with the holdups, they're looking more at a end of July, 1st of August build date, which doesn't work. So this, he did have a couple on the lot, and what I did was go ahead and get bids to go through trucks that were on the lot, and I found one that was for $56,635. And that's a truck. It's got a few miles on it, but it's essentially a brand new truck. So it was just used as a service vehicle, for a week or two. So it's got 317 miles on it.
And it's within your budget?
Oh, yeah, it's within our budget. Because what I'll do with the truck I have now is I'm going to give that to the parks, because parks, one of their major trucks went down the end of last year. It was a transmission issue. The truck had a couple 100,000 miles on it. They pull trailers all day, pull trucks. Pull mowers. So what I did was give them my F-250. I don't need that big of a truck to do what I do. So this would be an easy way to go ahead and replace their truck and then get a little bit one that's a little more cost effective for me to drive around, all day long.
You get a motion to move forward with that purchase?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I see up on the screen we have some illustrations on what you got.
Yeah, we got an epilogue going on here. All right. This is the last bit you'll probably see of Green River Road coming to court. We all know what it looked like last year, right? After all the dealings with getting it set up with this is reminder picture, getting everything worked out with the Department of Forestry. This is what has came to light since we've worked on it. This is the same area where the picture was taken. This is what it looks like now. We moved the road over 65 feet from center line to center line. We're able to obtain some ground from Department of Forestry, and we backfilled what was going to the river with a lot of heavy backfill, concrete and soil to that way it will promote vegetation on top of the soil which will actually deter the amount of washout you have. We've had two big floods. This is actually after the second flood that we just had, so it held up real well. We were actually lucky with the second flood because the waters came in slow and they left slow. So with slow, stagnant, stationary water, it doesn't pour everything out. So if it came in quick, went out quick, that'd be a turbulent flow that would take out more of our road. This one kind of came in as a laminar flow, so it actually went out slow. This is actually what it looked like after the flood. This is another picture looking towards Green River. This is where we started building the road out, and then this is where we tied in on the east side of Green River Road number 1. This is looking west at Green River Road, going to the area that we just redid. Obviously see on the right hand side, that's where everything the old road was at, and where everything slid into the river. So this is actually, as we came up, we freshened the rock up, did our final grading, and that's what we look at. We had around 850 feet of road that was replaced. Trees were removed. We had a contractor help us out with all that because they were able to set grade and to cut all this. They were able to move all the trees, get everything out of the way. We removed everything that we brought in, took it off site, and that's all I got. It's
Looks good. Looks really good.
Sad deal that Green River Road is no longer on the.
It took a while.
Yeah.
Took a while. Nothing happens quickly, especially when you're dealing with the state, but thank you very much.
Yep.
Looks good.
That's all I got.
Did you wanted to,
Oh, personnel, yeah,
Yeah.
this is the personnel deal, that's right, okay, but there again. We have a part-time employee. He actually, the one that Casey came a few courts ago and approved, that got approved, he actually stepped away. He declined the job. So she went to the next person on the list, and that was Trent Hertigan, and he is going to come in at $15.65 an hour, which is what we start all of our part-time people at. So he's going to come in and be part-time with the parks. Typically, that's throughout the summer, as summer employment. And, you know, when summer grass grows, and we could definitely
Get a motion to approve that hire?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to hire that gentleman at that price. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Nick. Thanks for being here, Stallings family. Always good to see y'all. The clerk nudged me and suggested we get two separate votes on the grant agreements for Eric, so we'll do that again real quick if you don't mind. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the household hazardous waste grant?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And now I need a motion on the waste tire application.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that. You have in your packet the resolution payment agreement with the Henderson County Water District, giving them a grant, as we've discussed many times, about fixing their leak problem. And we've traded back and forth a couple things in the last few days, and there's still just a couple tweaks to work out. But in order to help Mark, who is feverishly waiting to get started on buying some of the things they need, I would suggest that if you want to go ahead with this, and I think we all want to help as much as we can, that you go ahead and pass the agreement in the packet pending the working out of two things. One, Mark had a request that if they have something they need to buy related to this project that is not on the list in the proposal that he gave us, that he can come back and ask for it from us and might be eligible to purchase it with the money we give him. The other thing, too, is there's a little paragraph at the end that requires him, if he gets any grants, to pay back the amount of the grant back to us with the money he gives them. And I thought that there may be a case, and I think it will be the case, that he needs our money and grant money as well to finish this. So requiring him to pay it back penny per penny, I wanted to revisit that with Steve and Mark to see if there's a kind of a compromise there.
I think the intent of the language that they not get double granted for the same, doing the same work.
Right.
That's
And
the issue.
There's
obviously a
probably a
problem.
middle ground in there where if they do any work, duplicate any work with grant money, give us ours back. Make the whatever state or federal grants they get the primary source of funding. But if they need both, if they can show they need both, then they don't have to pay us back any money. Pending those two little things, I'd like to see if I could get a motion to go ahead and approve the grant, contingent upon us working those two things out to Steve's satisfaction and our satisfaction. And their board will be meeting tomorrow night as well. You can make the same suggestion to them. So, any questions? Have you had a chance to read the agreement? It does, as we've discussed, forward them a payment in June, half of the $3 million, and then pending a review of their progress, schedules the other half for probably January, February, depending on our preference and our satisfaction with the following of the plan that they submitted. Any questions?
So
I think I'd like to leave it where they pay us back if they get another grant, and then they can always come to us with an ask instead of just giving them an open. I want to help, but it gives me heartburn to know we're in the situation we're in. So I really want to keep close tabs on this money.
Understand. And we can take that into account.
And to be clear, the changes that they requested was they wanted more flexibility with regard to the use of the grant funds. The agreement that you have before you said that they were supposed to use it for the project that they presented. And what they've asked for is some flexibility there to be able to come back and ask the court to divert that money to other purposes, which that would be my suspicion. The way those two things would work is if they got a grant that would cover something that we were going to be covering, they would then want to divert our money to some other portion of the project or some additional project, is what it seems like to me. Is that a fair statement?
With an ask, correct?
With an ask.
Not just
No.
an open checkbook. Okay.
Right. But
I'm good with that as long as they.
That's what they're seeking.
Yeah.
And that's completely up to the fiscal court, what y'all want to do there. It's your
I-
grant.
I'm hearing what you're saying, and I agree, and I think we can work on a little bit of language to make that happen that way. But in lieu of waiting until doing this all over again, in June 2nd, first
Right.
meeting, go ahead and move it along now. So we do have a motion to the effect that we will approve this pending the, adjudication of these two requests.
Right.
Is that okay? Do I have a
Second.
second? Motion and a second. Any other questions?
We do need to read the resolution.
Let me get another question here. Any other discussion? Go ahead and have you read the resolution.
Okay. A resolution authorizing the county judge executive to execute the agreement to provide grant funding to the Henderson County Water District for exclusive use to implement and execute its corrective action plan to reduce water loss and upgrade water systems for the benefit of the citizens of Henderson County. Whereas the Henderson County Water Department, or HCWD, is organized and operates as a special purpose government entity and provides water to the residents of Henderson County, and whereas HCWD has consistently battled significant water loss since at least 2018 due to aging infrastructure and obsolete equipment. Whereas HCWD has submitted a corrective action plan designed to address the excessive water loss issue and upgrade antiquated equipment of the HCWD system. Whereas HCWD has submitted a request to the Henderson County Fiscal Court requesting grant funding to finance the implementation and execution of the corrective action plan. Whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court has reviewed the proposal of the HCWD project and the grant funding agreement between the Fiscal Court and HCWD and believes it to be in the best interests of the residents of Henderson County to authorize the county judge executive to execute said grant funding agreement, and whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court believes the purpose of these grant funds are within its powers under KRS 67.083 for the provision of water service.
Any other questions?
Now therefore be it ordained and resolved by the Fiscal Court of Henderson County, Kentucky. It is hereby found and determined that the financial incentive provided thereby is a valid use of Fiscal Court's power to provide water service within Henderson County pursuant to KRS 67.0833R. It is further determined that it is necessary and desirable and in the best interest of Henderson County to enter into the agreement for the purposes therein specified to ensure the Henderson County Water District satisfies certain requirements and conditions regarding the financial incentive provided thereby. The Fiscal Court hereby approves the agreement in substantially the form presented to the Fiscal Court. The Fiscal Court finds the execution and delivery of the agreement is hereby approved, ratified, and confirmed. County Judge Executive and Fiscal Court Clerk are hereby authorized to execute the agreement together with such documents or certifications which may be necessary to accomplish the transaction contemplated by the agreement. Upon execution of the agreement by all parties thereto, the Treasurer is authorized to pay the initial grant as set forth in the agreement during the month of June 2025. The Treasurer shall not release the final grant or any portion thereof until authorized by future action of the Fiscal Court pursuant to the terms of the grant funding agreement. The Fiscal Court hereby finds and determines that all formal actions relative to the adoption of this resolution were taken in an open meeting of the Fiscal Court, and that all deliberations of this Fiscal Court and of its committees, if any, which resulted in formal action were in meetings open to the public and in full compliance with applicable legal requirements.
That's the language of the agreement. And-
No, that was the resolution.
Yeah.
That was my motion.
Yeah. And you maintain the motion?
Yes.
Maintain the second? Yes. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. We'd now like to go into executive session referencing KRS 61.810C, discussion of proposed or pending litigation against or on behalf of the public agency. We will probably be taking a vote when we come out of this executive session, so I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We will be back shortly. I need a motion to come out of executive
So
session.
move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are ready to vote on a settlement agreement between the City of Henderson, Henderson County, and the Henderson City County Airport on a long-lasting bit of litigation involving a drainage structure out at the airport. And Davis Hunter, who represents the City County Airport Board, if you want to give us a couple highlights.
Good morning. My name is Davis Hunter. I had the privilege of representing the county in this matter as well as the city and the airport. As it was said earlier, this has been years-long litigation stemming from the initial plan to expand the airport and the alleged effect on an adjacent property owner. They made a variety of claims that over the years have been settled. This final iteration of settlement is the last one, thankfully. So the adjacent property owners are agreeing by signing this to give up any and all claims against the city, county, and airport based on the alleged damage that they're asserting to their property. So it's been years in the making, and I'm glad that we have finally got the plaintiff's signatures on these, and I thank the fiscal court for allowing me to come this morning and present this to you all for the county's signature because we do have an update or an upcoming deadline. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the settlement agreement or its attachments, but just know that this is the product of a lot of time and effort, and we think the county is best served by signing it.
And summarize, we will be paying a total of $12,000 to the plaintiffs, divided three ways between the county, city, and airport.
Well, in a way, there are two liability insurers involved in this who are providing the defense.
Okay, cool.
One insurance company is Chubb.
Yeah.
They will pay a third of the $12,000. The other insurance company is Keiko. They will pay a third of the $12,000. And the remaining $4,000 is to be borne by the city and county.
So we will be paying $2,000? The county.
$1,333.
How the city and county were going to split up the $4,000 wasn't made specific to me, but it was just an agreement that the city and county would account for the final third of the $12,000 monetary settlement.
The airport doesn't participate in that?
So that is, are you saying that's left to us in the city to determine?
Yes, that's how it was communicated to me.
Okay.
But I know that the airport is fully on board to, allocate this remaining $4,000 as well.
So I guess we will sign this believing we will pay for half of the $4,000, and I'm sure that's what the city has in mind. But if there's some other idea they have, we'll hear it out. Get it done.
Thank
And it
you.
also includes a little ditch extension as well, and the airport's taking care of that part?
That's correct.
Okay.
It's extending an existing ditch to remedy what the plaintiff calls additional flood water on their ground. And that ditch extension project has been handled by Frank Williams as the engineer, and he's done a great job with that. And that's the remaining work to be done, and that's pending the various state inspections and Corps of Engineers and all that.
You have any questions of Davis?
Judge, I would make a motion that we proceed on and approve the document.
Second.
Hearing no other discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Davis.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
We'll say I'm glad to have that done. You have in your packet animal control reports. both the types of activities they've been involved in and a financial statement that relays the numbers through the end of April for the fiscal year. And according to this statement, they are $36,610 in the black with 2 months to go in their financial accounting, so that's good news. Gina Miller dropped that off earlier, and I'll be meeting with her later in the day to talk, and if you have any questions you'd like to extend to Gina, just let me know. You also have in your packet the detention center report.
Missed it. Did we miss the easement thing?
It is not in there?
That was the casino settlement was in
Oh, that's
the
what
nature
that
of an
was.
easement.
Okay.
That's- Yeah.
Got two lines here.
Seeking,
Didn't know
yeah.
whether they could send in reports or not, and
Okay.
they didn't, and,
Well, then we'll move on to the county clerk's report, and any questions about that?
Moved up.
Everybody, anything you'd like to add? Karen? Okay, we'll entertain a motion to accept the county clerk's report.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Mr. Gold. your
I've got
report.
several checks today. 2 are interest checks in the amount of $80.47 and $13.58. A health insurance check in the amount of $15,744.87. 2 dental life and vision checks, $705.46 and $11.10. Aflac, $364.74. Jail fees, $165, bringing today's total to $17,085.22, and the fiscal year to date to $253,461.84.
Motion to approve those.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions of Steve? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next, the first reading of the 25-26 fiscal year budget, and Treasurer Brenda Ryder will join us. And while you're coming up here, I will commend everybody who helped make this a really smooth process this year. And thanks for being patient with the special called meeting we had last week to nail down the LGEA funding we were going to be offering. So I think all in all, it's gone really well, and looking forward to a really solid financial into this year and next year as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to Treasurer Ryder.
This is the first reading of the budget for fiscal year 25-26. The budget is being presented as balanced in total, as well as with respects to the revenue and appropriations of each fund. The total budget for fiscal year 25-26 is $42,917,200. The breakdown for each fund is General Fund, $16,828,698. Road Fund, $7,838,263. Jail Fund, $9,877,133. LGEA, Local Government Economic Assistance, $2,077,898. State grants, $952,164. Federal grants, 0. Economic Development, $335,000. Clerk SB 135, which is the clerk's permanent storage account, $45,000. Employee health insurance, $3,150,000. Opioid Settlement Fund, $90,000. ARPA, which is America Rescue Plan Act, $1,723,044. The total for the budget for fiscal year 25-26 is $42,917,200. Also included in your packet is asking for the approval of the annual standing orders, which approve certain recurring expenses such as utilities, payroll-related benefits, phone invoices, postage, grants, and employee health insurance and claims, which are paid weekly.
Any questions?
Judge, I would move to accept.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion about the upcoming budget and these standing orders? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, I'll have you call the roll.
All right. Magistrate Starks.
Aye.
Magistrate Barry.
Aye.
Magistrate Southard.
Aye.
Magistrate Tompkins is absent. Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
And for the record, I'll also vote aye. Thank you. And we have some fund transfers and claims. Before you read the fund transfers, you all know we get to this point in the year and we are tidying up line items here and there. Budget's always kind of an educated guess, and when we get down to the last month, we fix the guesses where we didn't quite get them right, or something occurred during the course of the year that might knock those slightly out of kilter. So with that, I'll turn it over.
The transfers are as presented, and this is redistributing appropriations within the existing budget. And as the judge just spoke of, these are primarily to cover the remaining expenses throughout the remaining fiscal year.
One thing I'll point out, and we have another month to go, so some of this might be happening next month as well, but we set aside, I think, $450,000 in general fund contingency this year for these sorts of adjustments or to handle anything that arose. Even with all these, everything that's happened during the course of the year and these transfers, as of now, we still have $245,000 left in contingency. So I think we've done very well in not diving into that. It's good to have that contingency, of course, but it's been satisfying to know that we didn't miss by we were so far off the mark that we really had to dig hard into that contingency. So it's a sign that we're, if not perfect, we're really close. Any questions about transfers? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
You have received your bank balances after paying claims today. Your day-to-day appropriation should be at approximately 91%. I do have additional claims. From the road fund to Up in Smoke, $765. This is for a safety lunch for the road, and is to come from the Employee Safety Program appropriation line. To Gary Yeamans, Frankfurt Ford, $56,635. This is for the 2025 F-150, which the county engineer just previously presented, and is to come from the new machinery equipment appropriation line.
I move to pay the claims.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing to point out in the general fund, we've amended some things in, as you know, over the course of the year into the general fund, some large amounts to cover some things that we wanted to cover, for instance, flood aid and the water district aid. But the original number we set in the general fund as a budget was $11.33 million. And as of this meeting, we've spent 9.64, so approximately 80-something percent. And you heard the Treasurer Ryder say the spending amount to this point would be 91%. So in the road fund, they have spent 75% of expenses. They have watched their pennies closely. Jail fund, 84%. So all of our departments are watching their pennies. I know you hear me say that a lot during the course of the year, but I track that closely, and I really appreciate everything and everybody to stay within budget and not just waste money on stuff that we don't need, and spend money on the focus and on things we do. So thank you, everybody. I notice our coroner, Sheila Patterson, is with us. I'm glad you're here today. I know you've had a lot on your mind. But from everything I see, the news is improving. Everything's getting better, and that's great. We are really mindful of your family and wish the very best in everything that you're going through, but it looks like the news is getting better and better every day. Having said that, anybody from the audience like to say anything for good of the county as Engineer Nick Stallings looms towards the podium? Floor is yours.
All right, I reviewed their contract and their bids, and I'd like for a motion to go ahead and approve the Scotties to do the work out there at the...
So moved.
Motion is second. As a reminder, we will be applying to pay for this project through our TVA funds. If you know what that is, the money set aside for economic development. We have plenty of money to cover this project in there, and hopefully utilize that. This one kind of popped up during the course of the year, so excellent. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
Anybody else for good of the county? Hearing none, I'll go around the horn. Magistrate Starks.
Thank you, Judge, and thanks everybody for being with us this morning. And I'll make this pretty brief. I just wanted to give a big salute to the Henderson War Memorial Foundation and American Legion, everybody else that was involved with the service yesterday down in the park. The judge was there, and it turned out to be a beautiful day. At one point, we were being told that it possibly was going to be a washout, and we were just going to, maybe have the speaker on the radio. But again, everything really went smoothly, and beautiful service and a great speaker, and so just hats off on that. And also want to thank the Breakfast Lions. They don't get enough thanks for putting out the flags, not only on Memorial Day, but the other major holidays, special events that happen in our community. So shout out to them too. And Butch may want to say a little bit more about this, but there's a little golf tournament that the Salvation Army is going to put on in a few weeks, and they could really use the support. So if you're a golfer, even if you're not a golfer, if you could help them out, please do so. Transparency, I do serve on the board of directors, so hope to be out there helping them again this year. And other than that, I think all is good here in the 5th.
Thank you. Master Barry.
That was short, Bill. Yeah, it was good. Thank everybody for being here. Nick, thanks for Green River Road. My phone don't ring near as much. That was done. So everything's good. I'm not going to talk much because Magistrate Southers want to get back to the farm. We'll let him have his time, and all's good in one, Judge. Thank you.
Mr. Gold.
Things are good in the county attorney's office, and to that end, I was just reflecting on the water agreement that we had earlier today. First Assistant County Attorney Kyle Evans ran point on that and did a whole lot of work on it. I want to publicly thank him for that. I work with some of the most wonderful legal professionals in the world. I'd put them up against anybody. I think we have a really great staff, and I'm blessed to work with each and every one of them, and I just want to say that out loud because they need to hear it often because they're great folks. Other than that, things are good in the county attorney's office.
Yeah, and I offer a hear to everything you just said. Master Putman.
Thank you, Judge. I just want to thank Magistrate Starks for that PSA on that golf tournament. So it's June 23rd, and I'll let it go at that. We're seeking sponsorship for holes and stuff, so anybody out there that's wanting to play golf or not play golf but just want to help us out, again, just contact the Salvation Army. And all is good in the 4th, Judge.
Thank you. Master Southern.
And I'd like to thank the road department for, we had some pretty good floods, and they did a good job of getting the roads back up in shape and getting us out there where we're not having to have 4-wheel drives to get there. So thank y'all. And a little bit of jealousy. When Steve read that resolution a while ago, if I could read that fast, it would be awesome. And all's good in District 3.
Did you take that Evelyn Woods speed reading class?
No, just a motor mouth. Ask anybody in my family or my office; they'll tell you.
Thank you. As we're saying thank yous, we'll reiterate what Steve said. We've had a lot of stuff going on lately that's required some some extra effort from his office and Steve in particular, and we really appreciate it. It's just one of the, we've hit a little run of legal work, and in the midst of everything else he does, it's been appreciated up here on the third floor with everything you've done to try to get these things through in a timely manner, so I appreciate that. As I see Chip Stauffer, Sheriff Stauffer there in the background, we were reviewing earlier with the road department in our meeting. We're kind of in the aftermath now of the flood impact and trying to wrap up as many loose ends as possible as the county is concerned, as FEMA moves in and helps our people, and the Kentucky EMA does more to help our folks. Everybody should know that there's a disaster recovery center now open at the Salvation Army Monday through Saturday, I believe, and even on
Sunday as well.
Sunday too. Yeah. So anybody hearing this who's impacted by the flood in any way, please go visit the Salvation Army on Washington Street and apply. Put your name in. You never know what you might be eligible for. But as we were reflecting on the cost to the county this morning, because of the flexibility of our road department and the help of our sheriff's department in helping patrol out in the Reed Beals area in the weeks right after the water receded, and even before that, we were able to do a lot of debris removal in an efficient, timely fashion, where we did not have to incur a lot of overtime hours to get that done. And one of the things when it comes to debris removal that we do any time of the year is the worry that some of our citizens will abuse the disposal boxes if we're not watching them all the time. And it can kind of curtail the amount of time and effort that we can devote to them, and it also costs us more money to babysit them constantly. So it's complicated our efforts at helping people get rid of their bulky trash in normal cleanups, and in this case with the flood, all the things that got damaged by the water during those few weeks. But with the help of the Sheriff's Department, and I think Bobby Proctor, a member of our road department who lives in Reed Beals, and several just private citizens who helped us keep an eye on those disposal sites and make sure that nobody either from that community or elsewhere in the county did the wrong thing around those disposal sites. It has not been a burden. And Chip, I appreciate that. You wrangled up some willing volunteers to work some extra hours just to keep an eye on those. And there's two benefits to that. Number one, the people in Reed Beals really enjoyed seeing the presence of law enforcement in the days after the roads opened up, because that might have been the time they were most vulnerable to illegal activities or burglars or people getting into their houses when they weren't there, because they weren't habitable, but there was still a lot of stuff. So seeing law enforcement out there really made them, I think, more assured and more confident that their properties would be protected. And I think it sent the message that people needed to treat those debris disposal sites with respect, use them what they were intended to do. And for the most part, that's what happened. So thank you very much. It's a team effort. It's the first one of these level of natural disasters I've ever been through as judge. And I think we provided the people what they needed. I mean, maybe you can't do 1,000% of everything that everybody required, but I think we heard what people were worried about, and we also understood what they needed as far as cleaning up their properties, and we did the very best to provide it. So it's still ongoing, still some stuff to take care of, but I think the initial need, the initial worries, the county responded the way we should. So thanks again. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor can leave. See you next time.